All right. The day that we voted, I posted a picture on Instagram, family photo, said, yay, we went out and voted. Didn't say who I voted for specifically, like I didn't drop a name. I didn't tell people who to vote for, but I did say that I voted for my daughter and equality, and I put a blue heart. So, you know, it was obvious. Now, the comments that I got in response to that were insane. Like, the amount of negativity and backlash that I received for supporting reproductive rights was, I thought we were at a different point, but clearly not. So I'm gonna go through some of these comments really quick, and then I'm gonna get to a bigger point of what resources we still have available and what we can do about the current state of things, because I wanna instill a little bit of hope. But before I do that, I wanna paint a picture of reality. Now, these comments are why I said in my last video, or at least it was a big part of why I wasn't surprised at the outcome of the election. Like, it was the final nail in the coffin of my optimism. And after reading these comments, it becomes less about, retrospectively, one candidate versus another, and more about a much bigger picture of how the climate of politics and values in America are changing. So let's get to the comments. All right, voting for your aborted grandkids. I'm voting for them to exist. I want grandkids one day, right? If my kids want them. There's no reality where I would ever want to force my kids to do something like that so that I could selfishly be a grandparent. And that's what so many people don't understand. It's not about you. It shouldn't be up to you. And in that scenario, it wouldn't be up to me either. My role as a mother is to be supportive to my daughter in whatever way she needs. Full stop. Voting for your daughter to kill your grandbabies. WTF, am I in the twilight zone? Abortion isn't killing babies, okay? It's an embryo up until 10 weeks and then it's a fetus. Which makes the thought of like a 6-week abortion ban even more insane to me, and we'll get to that later. Voting for your daughter to abort your future grandkids instead of supporting her. Wow, what a guy. Now, this comment was directed at my husband because we did this as a collaborator post, so yeah, one for him. It is supporting her to give her a choice. There are many options and many choices. Now, our kids will grow up fortunate enough to know that they have many different options, but at the end of the day, they should do what they want to, you know, choose to do. Voting for your daughter so she can undergo traumas of abortion and possibly kill your future grandchildren. I'm pro-life and my mom is pro-choice. And it's always difficult knowing that if she wanted, she could have killed me and decided my value and worthiness of my life. I pray your daughter becomes a pro-life advocate. Listen, it's her choice to do that if she wants. And also, prayers don't typically go very far in this household, so pray all. You know what? I'm just kidding. Prayers are 100% effective, and I think next election cycle you should just pray instead of voting. And personally, for me, it feels better this way. Like, knowing my mom had a choice and chose to have me, wanted me, feels pretty good. Like, the thought of having forced her to have me or that not being something she wanted would feel pretty terrible, actually. What about your son, who could have no say if his future child gets to be born or not? We will be raising our son to respect women and their bodies and their choices. How does it protect her if she's aborted? I don't get this comment. This is confusing. My daughter has been born for 11 months now, so. You're fighting to have your grandchildren dismembered limb by limb. You're kind of disgusting to vote for child murder. Like, at this point, the comments get kind of repetitive. Yes, there are a lot of them. And there are so many like this that, like I said, it's painting a bigger picture for me of what America as a whole is thinking and how things are kind of changing. Good to know, though. All the more reason to, like I said in my last video on all this, tell people to please stay involved. Do not disengage. We have to band together. We have a fight to fight, and we can't just check out. And information is power, right? It becomes very hard to combat disinformation, or on a smaller level, people who just want to get under your skin. God forbid you get into a situation. This video will give you as much information as I personally have right now to prepare you for that. So, Roe versus Wade got overturned, right? We know that. But in this recent election, it wasn't just the president. There were a lot of other things people were voting for, and in 10 states, they voted specifically on reproductive rights. So abortion rights found support at the ballot box in 7 states of those 10, which expanded access in already legal states and lifted bans in 2 others. Unfortunately, abortion rights fell short in 3 states: Florida, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Now, I lived in Florida for most of my life, so this one particularly burns me, especially since they require a 60% vote to get something passed. What did they get? 57%. My major complaint here, as pro-choice as I am, is that Amendment 4, which is what they were trying to get passed, listed 24 weeks viability. That's the cutoff to be able to get an abortion. That is the standard, by the way, set by Roe v. Wade. And as much as I might agree with that, I can understand why someone might look at that number and think 24 weeks, my God, that's over halfway through a pregnancy, and it could scare a lot of people off. So then what happened? Florida kept a 6-week abortion ban. Like I said, as pro-choice as I am, I hate that that is the stretch, right? We go from a 6-week ban to a 24 ban, and there's no like compromise. I wish there was at least a protection around the first trimester, right? That's only up to week 13. Most people don't even know they're pregnant by 6 weeks. Most people don't. I happen to, just because I was trying to get pregnant and I was like taking ovulation strips and pregnancy test strips and constantly checking, but most people don't know. At least by 13 weeks, someone would know. Hopefully, most people would know they're pregnant by then and be able to do something about it early on, which should make the pro-life people happy, right? Earlier is better? No? Also, first trimester, 0 to 13 weeks, that's when the majority of birth defects and miscarriages happen anyway. But I will say that halfway mark at 20 weeks is significant. That's when you go in and you get the full detailed anatomy scans. You get to see at that point if you have major abnormalities in either yourself with the pregnancy or the baby itself. Sometimes babies aren't going to be viable. And even if they are, I have seen horrific stories. I can't even imagine the pain that the mother and baby have to go through, where they are forced to carry that baby to term, birth the baby, and then watch the baby suffer and fight for its life for hours or even days before it dies. Like, that is so wrong to me and so black and white unethical. So yes, even if I do make that concession, right, and I know people are going to view it as a weird concession, but to me it's better than 6 weeks. Holy crap, that's insane. But there need to be like very detailed outlined exceptions to things. And the gray area needs to not exist because there is just so much confusion around it right now. I don't like the idea of compromising, and I know this is all hypothetical, right? But you have to at least try to understand why things are failing. You have to look at it and try to be a little bit unbiased. So I think people saw the number 24 and it scared them away. I think that might have been the case with Roe v. Wade in general. You either see where the other side is coming from or you fail entirely. I didn't say like it, I said see it. Maybe had it been even a little bit lower of a number, it would have been enough to get that extra 3% in Florida and get women protected. Bare minimum, right? And then fight upwards from there. But having a 6, work with it and then make intensive guidelines so that there isn't so much confusion, because there is so much confusion. It is just incredibly vague, too vague. So vague that women have died and will continue to die. And maybe if enough people who oppose reproductive rights experience this, not that I want that to happen, but unfortunately it's inevitable that it will happen. Maybe at some point people will start realizing how horrible this is. Amber Nicole Thurman, I don't want to go too much into it, but she was only 9 weeks pregnant, right? That is very well in the first trimester, and she should have been able to receive care. But guess what? She was in Georgia, 6-week ban. So she travels to North Carolina, gets the abortion pill, which by the way is FDA approved and approved by the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. So, you know, it works. But there is a risk of death. You want to know what it is? 0.0005%. That is lower, by the way, than the risk of death from penicillin or Viagra. What happens when someone has a complication in general from medication of any of these things I just listed? Well, they get medical intervention. Doctors in Georgia were terrified because the 6-week ban is in place, so they didn't take action. She sat there and suffered, and by the time they did the D&C, it was too late and she died, okay? People are calling it medical malpractice, and I agree, there's going to be a malpractice suit that opens up. Who knows what's going to happen there? I think it's valid. But at the same time, listen, I went to med school for a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm qualified to speak on this, but I will tell you that I remember us learning about medical malpractice, and they were almost joking about it because it's so hard to actually get a medical malpractice suit to follow through, and then much less for it to actually successfully be won, because there is a level of subjectivity in medicine, right? We're human beings. We don't get everything right. There are gonna be mistakes that are made, and you can't punish doctors for getting it wrong sometimes. Unless you're a psychic and you know exactly how every single person's gonna respond to everything, it's impossible to know sometimes if you're picking the absolute perfect treatment, and you have to leave space for that. Otherwise, no one in their right mind would risk being a doctor. So there have to be protections like this in place for physicians, but unfortunately it protects, you know, physicians that aren't great either and do terrible things. Only absolute extreme medical malpractice suits are won, and they know that, right? So if there's such a small chance of that happening to you, but you see that the government is going to revoke your license and all these different things if you perform an abortion against the, you know, demands of this ban, what's gonna happen? It's extremely confusing to healthcare providers. It is not something that has been outlined enough, and the confusion and the vague rules are going to lead to more women dying. You can't just say, oh, it was medical malpractice and walk away. It goes a lot deeper than that, and you know it. So it gets really frustrating for me when I see people talk about this and say that it has nothing to do with abortion bans, right? It's only because of medical malpractice. Bullshit. Don't be dishonest. Stop it. Anyway, back to what the states have chosen to do. In Nebraska, an opposing measure to restrict abortion access has won, meaning that the bans and restrictions will stay in place. Abortion will become broadly legal again in Arizona and Missouri, and existing protections will at least be strengthened in 4 other states. In Nevada, listen up, if you're in Nevada, make sure you vote. A winning measure to protect abortion until viability must pass again in the next general election before it can be added to the state's constitution. These upcoming elections, midterms, are going to be huge. New constitutional amendments will also expand protections for abortion in Colorado, Maryland, and New York, where the procedure was already broadly legal. Colorado's measure, though, also repealed an earlier law prohibiting the use of public funds to pay for abortions, so, you know, good news there. So, what can we do? Before anything, I want to shout out 2 organizations, Ultraviolet and Abortion Every Day. I will put the links to both of these below. Feel free to check them out, read more about them. Feel free to support if you want to, and also be aware that I'm going to be referencing a lot throughout the rest of this video, and there's going to be a lot of links in the description below. So make sure you click it and read through. There's going to be a lot of information and resources that I want you guys to have. There are going to be a lot of responses coming out in the next couple of weeks, but for now, here are like 5 things that you can do to start protecting yourself today. Number 1, order abortion medication. You don't need to be pregnant to order abortion medication. It might be something good to have just in case. 2, donate to a fund or organization if you can. Like I said, I mentioned those 2 before, but there are also people in your community that could use the support. Abortion funds and practical support groups, for example, ensure patients get the care they need by providing financial, logistical, travel, and even emotional support. You can find your local fund by clicking the link in the description. Here's the site right here that I'm showing right now, and you can find a list of all the practical support networks right here, link in the description as well. Another thing is to protect your digital safety. We talked about tracking earlier, but people are already paying in cash when they travel for abortions because they don't want it reflected on their credit cards. You could also turn off your location sharing on your phone. You can find out how to disable location sharing. I'll put this link to this website in the description. You can also trade out text messaging for an app like Signal. If you don't want your phone company hanging on to text messages and metadata, consider using an end-to-end encrypted messaging app. Also, disable ad tracking ID. We all know companies track your online activity in order to serve up like better ads, but you can disable that unique ad ID and seriously limit their ability to do so. Link in the description to this site to find out more. Also, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, you can always use a VPN. That's a virtual privacy network. It allows you to be online without your browsing history to be saved. You can check out the EFF's explainer on VPNs and how to use them. This link in the description. And also, and this one's a big one, you need to know your legal rights. There has been so much disinformation out there and so much confusion post-Roe. Things do move so fast though, and things can change day to day depending on like a court decision. Make sure you know the latest by paying attention to maps like the one at the Center for Reproductive Rights, link in description. And if you need free and private legal advice, you can contact the Repro Legal Helpline. Please use these resources and reach out if you do not know what to do. There are people out there that are trying to help protect you. Also, please share this video, share these resources with other people, because like I said, there's a lot of anti-abortion confusion out there, and I think people don't know exactly what their resources are. And last but not least, I've said this before, but really be a part of your community. Even if it's someone that you know personally that is struggling with the results of the election, reach out, be a friend, talk about it, join a community. There's local support groups. I just really believe in this. We need our communities now more than anything. There's a lot of toxicity that I'm sensing with this new wave of people coming out after the election, and I don't want people to feel like that is just how it's gonna be. This is the popular opinion right now. The cool kids on the playground are kind of bullies, and that's just how it is. Absolutely not. And a really quick editor's note to that point, this is not sponsored, but I did just join Blue Sky, and I'm really liking it. It's basically the exact same thing as Twitter or X, except for that it's not ruined by Elon Musk and all the toxicity surrounding that. So if you want to follow me on there, it's actually really refreshing, and the sense of community is definitely exciting. So yeah. Let's band our communities together and make our voices heard. There is power in numbers, and clearly we need to do a little bit better of a job at those numbers. Friendly reminder to people who disagree with me, if you're still watching, congratulations. But I want to remind you that areas with strict abortion bans or restrictions have rates that don't significantly decrease. Unfortunately, it just leads to people seeking to terminate pregnancies in unsafe or illegal ways. However, in countries or regions where abortion access is available, abortion rates are lower. Crazy, right? Restrictions also do result in delays, which can be dangerous for the mother. And also, you know, it's terminating a pregnancy that's further along. Y'all don't want that, right? Comprehensive access to reproductive health care, including contraception and safe abortion services, is more effective at reducing unintended pregnancies and abortions. Hear me when I say this. You will not get the results that you want from these bans. Conservatives say federal government should give it to the states. I think it should be given to the individual and their healthcare provider. That's it. Like I said in my last video, we are here. Let's just do the best with what we've got. Hopefully this video was helpful in giving you some resources and information, ideas and hopeful ways on how to move forward. Please share this information. Some of it was surprising to me as well. So please share the resources, share this video, and you know, let's hope for the best. Stay safe out there and see you guys in the next one.